Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Torey and today I am using the newest release from Sahin Designs and I am going to be documenting one of my most favorite photos of my daughter at the beach. I am using two papers from the paper pack and one sheet of the print file for elements. This is the photo of my daughter that I will be documenting. I've been recently searching through a lot of my photos, looking for some good beach photos since there's a lot of beach collections being released this time of year. And this particular photo just continues to stand out to me and just bring a smile to my face. So I decided that I would document it. So I'm using this wood grain paper, which I absolutely love. It is a gorgeous paper and it's so like subtle, the wood grain effect on it. I can't get over it. I love it so much. I'm going to be using that paper as my like main background paper. And then I'm going to be taking this Monstera leaf paper and I'm going to be ripping two strands of the paper so that I've got kind of two pieces to place on either side of my wood grain paper. If you're following me on Instagram, and I will pop that up on the screen here if you are not following me, if you want to go ahead and go do that. I recently was chosen to join the Sahin Designs creative team, and I'm so excited for this because I really love all of the products that Elif creates. I think that they're just amazing, and I'm so excited to get to be on this team. So, like I said, this is the newest release. It's called At the Beach. I will have everything linked below for you if you're interested in checking it out. If you do pick something up, I would love if you would leave me a comment to let me know. It's a beautiful collection. You will not regret it. I did print out this photo of my daughter with some white space around it, and I wanted to kind of have this space to create a border without actually having to map my photo. So that's what I ended up doing. I'm also pulling out this little like sponge tool. I can't remember what this thing is called, but this is the tool that I use primarily when I am inking up edges. I'm going to be using the Color Theory Inky Black ink as my black ink to ink up the edges of the rips on my Monstera paper. And then a little bit later, I'm also going to come back in and ink up the edges of my photos as well. I love the subtlety of everything that I chose and how everything kind of seamlessly blends together. But I thought that it might be blending a little bit too much. And inking up the edges of these photos really kind of helps differentiate them from each other. Like just that alone made such a huge difference to me visually. And it's not that much. It's not that much of an extra thing to do. You'll kind of see also that the white border of my photos is also kind of blending into the background as well. And that's why I'm going to choose to come back in a little bit later on and ink up the edges of that photo as well so that it's kind of a little bit more noticeable. I did kind of just dump out all of my elements here, and I'm going to pick out quite a few, but not too many. I love the idea of having a visual triangle on my spreads, but I have noticed when you are kind of scrapbooking in a smaller size, like I do generally most of the time, it can tend to be a little bit harder to do a visual triangle because a lot of embellishment clusters are just that, like large clusters of embellishments. So I tried to create 3 embellishment clusters, quote unquote, but make them very minimal because A, I just like that in general, and B, it still allowed me to fit 3 little clusters on this smaller scrapbooking page. So here I am deciding that I wanted to ink up the edges as well, and you'll see a difference right away once I set this photo back down and get it placed back on these kind of lighter patterned papers that I'm using for today's spread. I also have decided that while I don't have a ton of color in the actual patterned paper that I chose, I would kind of bring a little bit of color in with the embellishments that I'm adding to this particular layout. And I'm going to do that with the colors of like this green that was used in the collection and some pinks. So as of right now, I've got a couple of things that I've already chosen that will kind of sit throughout the rest of this, but I'm trying to figure out what I want my title to be and also how I can incorporate some green in this little top cluster that I'm creating. And I actually ended up separating one of the elements. It says at the beach and it's kind of outlined in green. But what I did, because not all 3 letters are connected when you get them cut out on your cutting machine, I chose the at the, which is outlined in green. And then I also chose kind of the sign, I guess, that says beach, and that is pink. And I'm going to layer those together so it looks like they originally came that way. And that will be like a mini title for my page and also give me some green up in that top embellishment cluster. So now that I've kind of got an idea of what I really want to get done, I'm going to go ahead and start adhering everything down. One thing that I like to do when I am doing these types of scrapbooking layouts is specifically for like ripped edges or photos, I don't put my tape all the way to the edge of those things. For the ripped edges, I like to kind of rough them up a little bit so it adds a nice bit of like texture and dimension. And then for my photos, I tend to stay away from the edges when I'm adhering them down because I like to tuck embellishments and kind of elements and stuff underneath my photo as well, which you'll see me doing here with the beach. And I'll also tuck that little green kind of tag or banner thing. This thing right here, I'm not really sure what that would be called. My brain is not working today, so I am misplacing lots of words. But I'm going to want to tuck that underneath my photo as well. So I've got 2 embellishment clusters kind of on either side of my photo. And then the third one that I'll be creating is just going to be a little bit over off to the side on the left-hand side of my page. I also decided, because I'm adding some extra word strips, this pink one is also very light. So I did ink the edge up of that just a little bit before adhering that down. I'm going to also go grab a little mini cutting mat because I've got this tiny T-square ruler from Simon Says Stamp that I like to use to make sure that all of my things are actually straight, but it works best if you've got it like layered on like a cutting mat. So I just went and grabbed that so that I could layer these together so that my surface was nice and flat and I could actually get a true straight edge to adhere that word phrase element down to. I absolutely adore this little pink crab element, and I kind of had it set up here with my top cluster, but I'm going to end up moving it down to the cluster that I'll have at the bottom of the page. I did not want to remove that from this layout. I was just so obsessed with it. It's so stinking cute. But I felt like I had just a lot of large items up at this top one. So I ended up kind of pulling that down. In hindsight, looking at myself kind of creating this top cluster, I kind of wish I had done a little bit of edge inking around the beach sign as well, but it's already said and done, so whatever. It's not gonna be anything extra for that thing. And then I will go ahead and get this little final cluster kind of created, and we're gonna be pretty much done with this layout. I really love how everything came together and just this collection in general. I don't know, I feel like there's just so much going on this page, but also it doesn't feel heavy at all. And I really, really enjoy that. So for my third little embellishment cluster, I'm using a word phrase that says good vibes, some little pink sunnies, and this pink crab I will layer on top of that good vibes word phrase as well, and then we are done. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you made it to the end of this video, leave me a little crab emoji in the comments. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!